Yeah, hi. I'm trying to, I'm on the oh, did you start?
No, I'm about to start now. I'm about to log on right now.
Oh, because I logged in, but I only see my face. Oh,
Right. Let me log on. Yeah,
oh,
I'm
I
logged on
see.
right now.
I see
Good.
David, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm about to get on.
How
Let
are
me get on.
you? Okay.
Okay, I'm about to get on.
Uh,
You got home safe. Good.
yeah, Baruch Hashem. You could hear me and everything?
Oh yeah.
Oh, good. Good. So you see, you guys can't get rid of me so fast.
Why would we want to do that? We wanted you to
Oh,
stay, remember?
I know.
Good, Daddy.
But
Welcome back to New York.
oh, thank you. Oh, now you
But I
see.
see, but I see that the Boca thing is working because no tie. Excellent.
Yeah, it's very humid here.
I know. You forget I was there yesterday. I
Yeah,
know. Anyways, let's get started. I think we're holding literally on the bottom of Ches Amid Beis,
you. What time are you finishing this year?
7:30 on the nose.
Oh, because right after this, I have what's this?
I
Galat,
know, and I have mincha.
and
And
I haven't eaten anything.
yeah, I just had a cookie, so we're about in the same place.
Yeah,
Like father, like son. There you go. Just just that we passed in the sky, Daddy. What can I tell you?
yeah.
So
Oh, wait a second. We're learning. We have to get my Gemara Kiddushin.
no
Can you
problem.
hold
Yeah,
for a second?
we're about. Yeah, we're okay. So, anyways, David, we're about to start the last line. In essence, the last line. Um, the last line of Daf Chesam base 8b3. We're about to go on to Daf 9, Daf Tes.
Now,
Okay.
so
Man
right
was
now
selling.
you're on Chesed base.
Yeah, on the last line. The last line.
Okay, let me just get
The
to it.
last line. We're about to do Daf 9, Daf Tes.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Very good. Jeff, you with us? Literally the thing. So here we go. Hahu
Let me
Kavra.
say hi to the guys.
There's only guy. There you go.
Here we are.
Ah, okay. I miss you. Okay, the last line of Daf
Of
Chesed
the
base.
summer base. Yeah, here we go. Ahu Gabra the Hokam Zabain, and now we're on the Pesam Aleph, right there. There was a guy selling Chomrei Pich Sachya, buttons or glass beads, whatever you tchotchkes.
Yeah.
Okay? Asya he hit the Samala, and a woman came to him and said, Havali Shab Soiba, give me one string of the jewel of the glass beads. Amalah. So he said to her, if I give it to you, will you become engaged to me? Relay, have it, give it to me. It means nothing with regard to marriage. It just means give me my stuff and stop driving me crazy. What do they call it here? Sexual harassment. Ahu Gabra, and we're gonna keep having cases like this now. Ahu
Yeah,
Gabra,
that's pretty brazen, you know.
keep what the next ones are not. Let's go to the next one. Ahu Gabra to have a kashote chamra b'chanusa. Asya, and we'll come back to your point, Daddy. I just want to finish this Gemara. I just want to make a point for that Baruch Hashem, how far the world has come. Ahu Gabra to kashote chamra b'chanusa. There was a guy who was drinking wine in a shop. He was having a couple. He was having a glass. He was having a glass. Asya, who itasabam, a woman came to him and said, "Havli chad kasa, give me a cupful." If I give it to you, will you get engaged to me? Pour me a glass. Anyone who says pour me a drink, it doesn't mean anything with regard to marriage. So in other words, it's mamish like a country music song, right? Just because she's drinking the tequila doesn't mean she's marrying you.
She went, she went to a bar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who got me? What? The first case you had a problem with, the second case you don't have a problem with. They're all problematic. There was a guy who was throwing dates from a palm tree. Asyahu itasab Amalei, a woman came by and said, Shabli Tati, throw me 2 of the dates. Amalei, Yisharinale Mikadesh's Lee. If I throw 2, you be Mikudesh. Amalei, Shari Mishadi, just throw them to me. Amarab Zvid, call Shari Mishidi Lav Klumi, throw it to me means nothing. Daddy, the truth is, what you said before is that until very recently, it was perfectly normal for a woman to be walking down the street and the construction workers to whistle at her.
They still do it.
Not as much as they used to.
No?
No,
Whistling's a lost art.
because it's a lost art. The point here is that, unfortunately, this has always been a sichas, a way of talking between the sexes. This flirtatious way of dealing. What the Gemara is saying is, flirting ain't nothing. In essence, if you read these Gemaras, you're coming to that conclusion. A, the behavior is not good, as everybody here has made the point. Number 2, it doesn't mean anything. And that's the bigger depth. There has to be meaning to the relationship. And there is the insight. What happens if she said have? She just said give, or ashke, pour me a drink, ma'ushte, throw, without repeating it. You notice before she used the double lashon. She kept repeating. She used words that repeat. Haba mehaba. Here, let's say she only said it once. Does that change things? Amar Rabina, yes, it does. Mikudeshes. That would indicate that she was masking to become mikudesh for the benefit of what she's getting. Rav Sama Barak Sama Togo de Malka Eina Mikudeshes. By the crown of the king, I swear that she's not engaged, even when she doesn't repeat her words. The Hilchasa Eina Mikudeshes and Taka, that's the din that she's not Mikudeshes. The Hilchasa Shiroi Loitzricha Shuma, and the rule is that silk does not have to be appraised before it's given for Kiddushin. It's assumed to have value. The Hilchasa Rabbi Elazar, and therefore the halacha follows Rabbi Elazar, who says, become engaged to me for a mana, and hands her only a dinner, right? The Kedusha takes effect immediately, provided that he later pays the rest of the money. Pays the rest. The Hilchasa Kirava Omer Rab Nachman, and the halacha follows Rabbi, who says in the Rab Nachman, become betrothed to me with a mana, and he only gives her collateral for the sum. The Kedushin is not chal. It's one thing if he started paying her, then it's mekudesh, but he is required to finish paying her. It's another thing where he's merely giving her collateral, and we said collateral is not enough of ownership to say that she was makabel something in her hand. She accepted something in her hand for the get of Kiddushin. Hi, Rebbe, how are you?
Yitzchak.
Hey, how are you? Baruch Hashem.
Why is it that the last case when she just said for me she's mekudesh? Why?
We paskin. Okay, so we paskin that she's not.
No, but the Gemara paskin that it is.
No, Hilchasa Eina Mekudesh.
By all of them?
Amar Rabina Mekudeshes, Rav Sama Bareksa Amar Tona de Malka, by the crown of the king. I'm swearing the Eina Mekudeshes.
Okay, so my question is, Rabina, what is different?
Rabina was saying, when a person is talking sarcastically, he'll repeat his words. Pour me and pour me. You know, throw it to me, throw it to me. When you say it only once, in response to, if I give it to you, will you marry me? And she says, I will drink. Throw. Place down. Ravina says that's already refined language. That's already refined. That's the depth. To which Rav Saba Barak Sama Tana de Malka, what does it mean by the crown of the king? So I wanted to explain those words, Tana de Malka, Dechol Kivoida Bas Melech Penima. all the honor of the Bas Melech, of the princess, of the daughter of the king, is Bas Melech Pinima, is internal, right? She's Bahaltin, she holds herself in. So when Rav Sama was saying, of course she doesn't talk, even if she talks refinedly. Jewish girls talk refinedly. That in no way means that they have accepted the proposal. And that's why he used the word, Toga de Malka, by the crown of the king. Because what's the crown of the king? Kol Kavaita Bas Melech Benima. All the glory of the daughter of the king is internal. Ramey, you want to join us? Ramey, do you want to join us? Yeah. Oh, very good.
What's the problem? They just taught it all in one.
Yes, so I'll tell you. why. Because each one of those things is different, and each one of those things have a different value. And first of all, exactly that. Number two, wine has a value, right? Wine always, Kaddish. Dates were a staple. The Gemara is busy with dates all the time, right? They were very nutritious and all that. And what was the first case over there? The glass beads. That's jewelry. So each thing, in each case, there's a, how do you to say there's a value to something here that maybe this case would be different. That's all. That's why but you're right, it's really the same case, but the Gemara here, and the Gemara doesn't go loizu apzu, not just this, but no, each case in itself, if you backed out, you can see where I might have thought. Okay? Okay, so let's keep going. Tanu Rabbana. Bishtar Ketzad. How is Kiddushin happening with a document? Okay? We know a get happens with a document. In fact, a get can only happen with a document. But how does Kiddushin work with a document? Because remember, the document doesn't have to be worth a shava pruta. The actual document can be written on a tissue. It's worth less than a shava pruta. She's still mekudesh. So the money needs to be worth some value. The shtar, the document, doesn't actually intrinsically have to have any value. So the Gemara wants to, so therefore, why do we say that she's mekudesh with the shtar? And again, Jeff, don't get mixed up. Ksuba is not what we're talking here. Ksuba is the prenup. Okay. Yeah, I know. It's up there. I know. Tanu Rabbanan. But it's the right way to think. So, Vishtar Ketzad. If the husband to be wrote it on paper or a piece of earthenware, even though the intrinsic document itself is not have any value, meaning it's less than a shava pruta, right? Bitach, right? Bitach mikudeshesli. Your daughter is mekudesh to me. Bitach muresesli. Your daughter is mereses to me. Bitach into. Your daughter is a wife to me. Harezu mikudeshes. The girl is mekudesh. The reality is that this price, of course, is talking about a girl that's still a minor under the auspices of a father. But the truth is, this is in all cases. It just happens to be the case. But even if she's an adult, this works. This document works.
Yeah, it makes sense why it's like this. Why nobody uses shtar.
Yeah, we're going to get to that in a minute. Let's learn it through and come back to that question of Avis. Why aren't we mekudesh today with a shtar? Okay. But this document is not similar to a bill of sale. Okay, a shtar mecher, a sale. In other words, a document of sale. Some in the case of business, then the seller writes to the buyer, "My field is sold to you." Who gives over the deed? Even today, who writes the deed? Who gives over the deed?
The seller.
The seller gives over the deed to the buyer.
Yeah, but Kiddushin is just the opposite.
Right,
But
here it's just the opposite. The husband to me writes to the father, "Your daughter is betrothed to me."
He's the buyer.
He's the buyer. Exactly as my father's saying, he's the buyer. In this transaction, he's not the seller, he's the buyer. So how do you make such a comparison? So says the Gemara, 9a2, Amarava, Hosamiyana Dekra. There, the way documents are written, we learn it out from the pasuk, V'ach miyana Dekra. And here by Kiddushin, it's the context is through the pasuk. Hosam ksiv, over there it's written regarding business, umocha me'achusasai, and he sells part of his ancestral heritage. B'moicha tolerachmana. The Torah clearly is saying that the sale is based on the seller, right? The seller sells what he has. Hacha kisiv, regarding marriage, ki yikach ish es isha, when a man shall take a woman. In fact, similar to this is what I plan to talk about between Mincha and Ma'ariv today. The difference between last week's parsha and this week's parsha. Okay? It's similar to this. So when you see, when we talk about it, you'll see the same thing. Ki yikach. So in other words, Kiddushin, even though it's transactional, but it's not pshat that it's coming from the daughter's side or the girl's side. It's the man who's acquiring. See how the Torah did that? With regard to business, it's tied to who? To the seller. When it comes to marriage, it's to the buyer. The buyer is acquiring. That's the language. So the language of a star with regard to Kiddushin would need to be the language that the Torah puts it in, of acquiring.
So when the shidduch is being made, it's not the girl's side that initiates.
Meaning, no, shidduch's a shidduch. But when we get to the chuppah, actually, no. Let me. Did you ever ask yourselves the question, everybody? Who walks down the aisle first?
The Chusn.
Why? Why?
Awesome.
Because he has to
And
be
what is
to her.
Ki yikach ish es isha. The reason why the man goes down first, the groom goes down first under the chuppah, and then takes a step forward, right? In other words, if he's standing there in his kittel, the whole 9 yards, she's coming down, and they usually tell you, take a step forward. The Sevardim, the chassan goes all the way down and brings her all the way in. We take a step forward as to bring her under our roof. You understand what's happening there? As opposed to, let's say, mayor, you wanted to sell a field you had. So all the power is in your hand. If you agreed to sell, then it's a sale. So the document has to come from mayor as the seller. The deed has to pass over to the buyer. Marriage is the husband, the groom to be is taking in, acquiring the girl. It's the same thing, but the focus is completely different.
Agreement. That's
Right.
this is not written down.
Now the Gemara, but the Gemara here is now talking. If you wanted to marry her with a star, you wanted to marry her with a document. So now we don't do that today. We don't marry with a star. The ksuba is something else. The ksuba is a prenuptial. The actual marriage used to be, you didn't just have to do it with money, a ring. You could do it with a document. But the wording of the document, the way you wrote the document, was from the point of view of the groom to be acquiring the girl that he's taking under his roof. That is what we play out today in the chuppah.
Just the next thing is, what is the difference what I asked this morning also between Ashkenaz and Sephardic?
Okay, so the real difference. So I'll tell you the difference. Actually, that's a very good question. there is a machlokes. We all say real quick, without us getting lost here, is that Sfard is Spain, Ashkenaz is Germany. What do you call in the Torah? The word Ashkenaz is in the Torah. It's one of the children of Amalek, actually. Okay, it's coming from that same branch. Okay, so Rashi, the great Rashi, used the terms Ashkenaz for this side of the Pyrenees Mountains and Sfard for that side of the Pyrenees Mountains. Because Sfard is Sfard and North Africa is a thing. It may not mean that. There are other poskim that held that there were actual cities in ancient Mesopotamia that one was named Ashkenaz and one was named Sfard.
Just we were all for Sfarad.
We were all neither.
Sfaradic,
You know
because
we
we
were?
were in Eretz Israel.
No, that's not Sfard. That's Yehudim.
Yehudim.
That's who we were.
So
We are still all
so
Yehudim.
that's why we don't call ourselves Yehudim.
We do because of Jews.
Yeah, we do. So why comes Sfaradic to
That's
Ashkenaz?
only in halacha. In halacha, the halacha came out different ways. So the eggs, just for an example, around this table. If you come, let's say Isaac. Isaac comes from Dutch, right? Dutch background. The Dutch only have to wait 1 hour between milchiks and play. You know, after eating play, so it's only 1 hour. Then there are those who wait 3 hours. Then there are hours who wait into the 6th hour. That means 5 hours and a minute. And then there are those who hold like us 6 hours, right? And they're all Jews, and they're all, by the way, different countries in Europe. It's not even smart. But I'll give you an example. Look at the way the Sfardim put on the tefillin on their hands. They do it like this. We do a shit, but I'll tell you something else, guys. Ashkenaz, when you put on your tefillin, you do it this way, right? Towards your heart, right?
I go this way.
You go this way. I go this way. I go the other way. The Nusach Sfard. I don't know when that change happened. But that's a change. I put on the tefillin going this. So in other words, my shin in my hand goes this way. Meir's shin goes towards
Your
your
hand.
Exactly. Towards right. And mine is going in the same thing, the opposite direction. It is what you know why? Because we're Jews, 2 Jews, 3 opinions. Very simple. 2 Jews, 3 opinions. There you go. David, what do you got?
So show me what you showed Chef Mayer.
Say that again.
Show me what you showed Chef Mayer.
Oh, it's such a mate. You see, take a look at your hand. You know the
Yep.
shin that you do, like when you put it around your thing. So Ashkenaz does it so that the point is coming to one from the thumb
Right.
area, going out like this. My father and I do it the other way. We got ours is coming from this side, coming like this.
Yes.
Yeah, and the Svardim do it a third way. They're really coming from in here. They do it. They have a 4-point shin, not a 3-point shin.
Because they have a different.
By the way, if you ever looked at your tefillin, by the way, everybody, look at your shorosh. One side is a 4-strand shin, and the other side is the 3-strand shin. Okay, why? Let me tell you something. Everybody see the mezuzah? Everybody see something about the mezuzah? The mezuzah is on a slant. Does anybody ever ask, you know the reason for that? It's a beautiful thing. Now, there's a machlokes whether the mezuzah is supposed to be like this, flat, or wait, let me finish. And Gemara brings it down, like flat or straight up. So just for the mitzvah of mezuzah, they said we'll go both ways. We'll do it halfway. We'll put it on a slant, neither flat, neither. You know why? Because when you're going into a home, it should be peaceful. You have to learn how to make compromises. That's the reason why.
That I can accept.
You see, that I can accept. That's a compromise. That's a compromise.
So,
but
Jeff.
that's a very real thing.
So where are Jeff's?
What?
Jeff's, are they Perpendicular? Jeff?
Jeff's? No, Jeff's is also down the middle because Jeff, they got Sfard and Ashkenaz, so they do things in the middle. But poor Jeff has never had a chulent at home and never had gefilte fish.
So you should invite. You
Oh,
should
but-
invite him to your house.
Yeah,
You should invite Jeff, and you'll have
yeah.
the-
I'm
you'll
trying
have
to get
the
Jeff
chulent,
to
which
come.
is
It's not so
delicious.
simple. All right, guys, let's keep going here. So where are we up to? Amarava, what do we? Okay, yes, we just said this. So Frank the Gemara, Hasam Nami Ksib, but even with regard to regular business, it says Sodais Bakesef Yitnu. People shall buy fields with money, which emphasizes from the perspective of who? The
The buyer.
buyer. Just like baby. So what's the difference? Zakti Gemara, Karibe Yaknu. It's the pronounce it Yaknu. People shall sell the fields. In other words, bottom line is, which we all understand, regular business. Yeah, Yiknu, but read it as Yaknu, says the Gemara. So says the Gemara, my time Karibe Yaknu. In other words, they're wrinkling their nose just like Rameya. Mechaven to the Gemara. Mishum diksiv umachar. Right? Because the previous pasuk says, and he sells. In other words, from the perspective of the seller. Hachanami karibe kiyikach. Right? Change the passage so that it's talking about from the seller's point of view, i.e., the girl's point of view. She's selling herself.
Not Yikach, Yakach.
Yakach. Fine. Yeah,
Yikach is the
right. Exactly. See, my father's right, because otherwise I got to think. Yakach. Tiksiv es biti nosati li'ish hazeh. So in other words, Kiddushin should also go from the point of the seller, i.e., the girl who's giving herself away.
Yitzhak, point out to the Chaverim that in the Hebrew language, just a pintelach, if it's
That's
a E or the A, changes the meaning of the thing.
Right? That if you take the same word, spelled the same way, Yud, Kuf, Ches, and if you say Yikach or Yakach, it means two different things.
Yes.
And that's what it is.
Nikach
And
is
two different connotations.
That's not a different thing. How can you say that the girl sells herself, right?
It's
The
just
girl
way.
doesn't sell
No,
herself.
we know that. We know that. We only using those words in the sense she's giving herself away.
She cannot give herself away. The father gives her away.
Oh, that's only if she's a minor. When she's an adult, legally speaking, Mayor, the father is out of the picture. Legally, if she's 12 and a half, she gives herself away.
So why, what she's doing in the father's house?
Because she's got to live.
Because the father has what to say.
No, because the father is the ATM machine. You know the rule. When your kids get married, rule number 1, shut your mouth.
Yes,
Rule number 2, stretch out the credit card.
that's all.
That's all.
If you have your own credit card, don't stretch out to somebody else's
Well,
credit
the
card.
kids don't use somebody else's credit card. They only use their parents' card.
So that's not yours.
Hello, Marava.
Chef Rappaport doesn't know about credit cards.
No,
he
Chef May
goes
is
to
too
the
straight. Exactly. We don't want to mess you up over here. Let you know the way things are today. You'd have a cow. Hello, Marava. The rules of how you write a document are from Sinai, from Moses, from Sinai, and the Rabbanon are merely bringing in psukim as an allusion to what Moshe came down from Sinai. Business. This I want to say because Meir was touching on it. Business goes from the point of view of the seller. Kiddushin goes from the point of view of quote unquote the buyer, the husband. And the reason is exactly what you said. If you wanted to have a reason, even though Kiddushin is a transaction and it looks like a business, in fact, it's not a business. She is not chattel. The Gemara has gone out of its way more than once already to make it clear she is not selling her goof. She's not selling her essence. She's not a servant of the husband. She's equal with the husband. In doing that, they put the onus on the husband that it is you who are bringing her underneath your roof to support, to be the strength while she raises the house. And that is the way the Jewish home has always worked.
That's why they make the rules, but the Erosin and
Exactly.
and the same thing. I say, by business, if you don't have a document,
You have nothing.
then you have nothing.
That's
because why? This said, this heard, this saw.
Actually, what Meir just said is in the Choshen Mishpat. The Choshen Mishpat writes that if you're in shul and somebody is short $1, and they said, like, lend me $1 and I'll pay you back.
Yes.
You know what the Choshen Mishpat says? Get a piece of paper,
And
write a document that Reuven lent to say, and get 2 other guys in shul to sign it. That's what you're supposed to do. That's actually the mitzvah.
Just
That's
we
what
don't
you're
do that because you said
Because
be well.
because you know the rule. I haven't told you. I haven't.
How to make the mitzvah.
Listen, with one more thing. Then we're going. Then we're moving on. I've said this from Rabbi Yankel Miller many a time. They've all heard it. How do you know a minig is stärker wie a din? Right? We always say a minig is bigger than a
Yes,
din.
a minute,
So the rule is if Reuven lends money to Shimon,
yes.
the din is that Shimon has to pay the money back.
Yes.
The minig is as nish. So there you go. Now you know that minhagim zanigdasa. There you go. Rabbi Yankel Miller, genius.
Nothing new on that.
No, the e-boy, because people don't change. The e-boy is saying,
Now you touch the nitty-gritty.
that's it. And not me, Shlomo Melech. He said there's nothing new under the sun. He meant people. The e-boy is saying, Mahosam Nami Ksiv, even in the sale of a field, it's written, the Ekach is Sefer HaMikneh, and I took the bill of sale. Meaning, who takes the bill of sale? You take it from the seller. And we all know that that's the way it works. You take from the seller to the buyer. Very good. We're on 983. If a husband wrote, a future husband wrote for getting married on a piece of paper, on a napkin, or on earthenware, even though the intrinsic document is worthless, it's not worth a pruta. It's im kolzeh, bitach mikudeshesli, bitach muresesli, bitach lianusi, al bein al yedei avia, bein al yedei atzma, whether the document is accepted by her father or by herself, because she's already an adult. Mikudeshes midata, she's mikudesh with the consent of her father or her own consent if she's an adult. V'hu shaloi bagra, and of course this is what we're talking about when she's not yet 12 and a half. When she's 12 and a half, whose consent is it? Hers. She's living under her father's house. Tough noogies, pops. You're not in charge.
You were living in my house, my rules.
Yeah, it doesn't work. Exactly. It didn't work then. It doesn't work now. That's it. Once they become teenagers, you know who's running the show. Because of law, the Yor Oyal Cheres. If the future husband writes it, what's it writes on a woman on a piece of paper or a fragment of earthenware, even if it's not worth a shava pruta, it's worthless. The paper is worthless. Hareyat mikudeshesli, hareyat blili inuta, you are my wife. Hareyat muresesli, you are my betrothed to me. Mikudeshes beina yidei avia, beina yidei atzma, she's betrothed. Midata, but it requires her consent. For who? Shabagra, because she is already 12 and a half. In other words, here's the point. The father is involved up to 12 and a half. After 12 and a half, it must require her consent. Bipashtus, I don't just want to, without going in, requires her verbal consent. Because when Eliezer came to get Rivka, Lavan turned to his daughter and said, do you want to go with this man? Do you accept this? And she said, yes. The Torah brings this down. Mikan lamdu, that marriage is done with the consent of the girl. That's the way it is. And where there is no consent, so where a father is a quote unquote allowed to marry off a young girl, right, to somebody else, she has the right at 12 years old to demand a divorce.
Yes.
It's in her power to do so. Normally it's not. Why? Because she didn't consent in the first place.
So they bring it down that Rivka consented, but there's some conjecture if she was 3 years old or not.
So stop right there. That's right. So stop right there. I didn't want to get into that. Because what does 3 mean? We don't know. We guess. The Medrash says that we don't, again, we're going back again. 3 may not mean 3, because if Yitzchak was 40 and she was 3, right? That's not a marriage that's working. Right? And then they were married for 20 years and they didn't have kids. So she was 23 and she didn't have kids. Right? I mean, so again, I don't know. I'm being honest. I don't know it. I know that there are those who discuss it. I never went into it. But there is discussion. What exactly does that mean when the Medrash says she was 3 years old? Torah doesn't call her 3. The Medrash says she's 3. So again, I don't want to get into it. I'm merely bringing up the point that she agreed, and we learn a few things from there. That's also where we learned that you have to give a kala jewelry. Where does that come from? Because Eliezer gave Rivka jewelry.
Sephardi.
Okay. Oh, I have another question.
Yeah.
You say Kiddushin by marriage, right? What you do in a situation that is they are poor, both sides are poor, and don't have the ring to buy the money.
So you're thinking of the diamond ring.
That's why that is worth it something.
Even though this is worth nothing,
Yeah,
but
it's worth it.
But I will also tell you, even with the ring,
Yes.
the ring could be from the Cracker Jack box.
Yes.
Because in fact, the ring that we put on the girl's finger is not the one with the diamond. Under the chuppah, it's the cheap $30 ring. $30. Nothing. $30, $40. Take it out of a box. That's literally out of a box. Silver and gold. Pick which one you want. Make it sure it matches the finger. That's it.
And if it's not silver, no good.
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
It's the same thing.
Same thing. Anyways,
Said that's the gospel. You said there's verbal.
I think because it says, but midata, provided that she gives her consent. The father may accept the document on her behalf, provided she instructed him to do so. She has to.
There's nothing.
No, today. No. Today. Yeah, it doesn't matter. She has accepted. That's why we have a vart. No. Actually, that's not true. When they get engaged, the boy in our world has to ask the girl. Yeah, no. That's consent. I'm consenting to marry you. That is enough. I'm consenting to what's coming. Everything I'm doing after this is based on the consent that I gave there. 100%. That's consent. Consent doesn't mean you don't have to stay. No, that doesn't always mean that. That is not always the case. Some girls are dragged to the chuppah.
Do any sort of advice, verbal. She said yes, but under the whole ceremony, she doesn't say.
No, she doesn't have that. That's the ceremony. It's getting to the ceremony. Yeah, we do the Kiddushin, but I'm saying even before then, she accepted that I will do the marriage. Right? That's how the chazaka, the assumption that she accepted.
That's what I said also that Kiddushin is more important than the whole body.
Yeah, it's everything. Actually, at a wedding,
the whole document of
at a wedding, the most important people are the bride and the groom and the 2 witnesses under the chuppah. That's it. The rabbis and everybody else. I told you the story. There was a play in Yeshiva of Flatbush, which is co-ed, and there was a marriage ceremony in the play, and the 2 of them got so into the thing, and afterwards, they went After, no one could do, no. The Eidim where everybody was into it, it was all part of the thing. And afterwards, they made him get a divorce. Because, hey, anyways, let's go. Boy Reb Shimon ben Lakish, Star Asurin Shikosav Shalai Lishman, concerning a document of Arison, which Meir just said is so important, that was not written specifically for this woman. Mahu. It came off the shelf. Mahu. Right? Says the Gemara. Do we compare the ways of becoming a wife to the ways of going out and getting divorced? Remember, now we're on Testament Bay. Just like a get, it says because of law. You have to write it for her. Lishma, top Rashi, Avavaya being in Lishma, so marriage requires the same thing. Dilma, no. Have Avaya being in Lishma. The document of becoming, the Kiddushin document, needs to be written for the sake of the woman. Let's see. Dilma, no. Or maybe we compare the becoming the other way. Just becoming Kiddushin through money does not require that the money that the woman receives be minted for her sake. You don't go to the mint and have him print out the bucks, the money, l'shem, sprinzy, right? You don't need it. So the document itself doesn't have to be specifically. You can go to the farm store and just buy the like the Tanoim, pull it off the shelf. After he asked, he returned and gave the answer. She goes out and she comes in. We're comparing Kiddushin to marriage. Just like Kiddushin, the get has to be written Lishma, so too does the document of Arison have to be written Lishma.
The whole question in my mind doesn't it doesn't work. Money is not minted. Money is not minted for a specific person. Now, a shtar, the paper itself, when it was made, it wasn't made for a specific. So the thing that counts by a shtar is what you write on it. So therefore, the whole question, whether you need lishma or not, is not a question. Now, of course, when you write on the paper, it's got to be.
Daddy, I actually think the question is a great question. I don't have an answer off the top of my head.
You understand what I'm trying to say?
Of course, you're saying, what did I need this whole Gemara for? There's a fundamental difference. Money comes and goes. You get different money. You go to the ATM machine, you print that, you get the money. It's not minted for anybody one purpose. A shtar, by its very definition, has to be written for the people. What's documented? It's called documented.
Even though the paper.
No, forget the paper. It's like
minted
and that's not what you're talking about. You say a document. What's the why do we call a document a document? Because it's documented. It's a testimony of what's Mayor said it about 15 minutes ago. Never go into business without writing a document.
Right.
It's the only thing you have that you got proof of. It's true. This is the great question, by the way, not for today, but for the business Gemaras. What is a check?
Yes.
Is a check a shtar, a document, or very good, or is it actually money? And let me tell you something. The funny thing is, we're asking this question now. In 20 years from now, when checks are gone, when everything is going to be electronic, where Zelly is going to be, everybody's going to be Zelly money back and forth, right? And everybody's going to be paying the bills online, and they're not even going to accept checks anymore, because that's where we're headed. The banks don't even allow you to deposit cash anymore. Yeah, up to anything over 10,000, you got. They'll stop.
Even if you were to write on a toilet paper, I'm $100 to so and so, he could go and cash it.
Yeah, theoretically.
Sign it is good.
Theoretically, that is true. By the way, you all know about this post-date, people post-date checks? You know that's nonsense.
Doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything. The bank has to approve it. They don't always do it, but the law is right away.
They used to not, but now.
No,
And
no,
have an overdrawn, you write an overdrawn check.
Today they used to arrest you. Today they don't even bother. Right. Anyways, weiter. Kosa itma. Kosus l'shmo u'shaloi midata. If Kiddushin document was written for the sake of the woman, but it was written without her knowledge, she didn't know that he had gotten so far as to writing a Kiddushin document. Rabbi Amri Mikudeshes. She's Mikudesh when she gets it. Rav Papa Rav Shirvai Amri Eina Mikudeshes. Amar Rav Papa. I'll tell you their reason, I'll tell you my reason. I'll tell you their reason, which we compare coming into marriage to going out in divorce. Just like the document of giving. The get has to be written for her, but she doesn't have to know anything about it because she could be divorced against her will. Minat Torah, only biblically. The same thing. Once she gave consent, like you said over there, Avi, back in the day, now, she doesn't have to know what's going on.
Yeah.
But now let me tell you my reason. See, we're going to compare coming in to going out, marriage to divorce. Just like the bill of divorce needs to be written with the assent of the giver. In this case, the husband. The husband is giving the get. So too, Kiddushin needs the assent of the giver, who's giving herself up. Thank you. Suppose she needs to have the knowledge. So that's her pub. Meisvei, so they're going to contact a question, Rabba and Ravina. We don't write documents of Erisin or Nisuin without the assent of both. My love, take out the word Nisuin. That doesn't really belong here, if I remember correctly. Yeah, give me a second. Yeah, just some say that's actually the ksuba. Anyways, my love, story Erisim and Nisuin mamish. Sagt Gemara, no. Loi, piska is stari piska just means the document of allowment. You know what the document of allowment is? The Tanoim, the thing that we use to break the plate. Remember those things that I told you, which the Hasidim do months earlier and then get themselves into trouble. They get them, we do it at the marriage, at the Chatzana. The Hasidim do it when they get engaged.
Okay.
And it's a big problem if they want to break off the engagement.
Why you make the Tanoim? They give to both sides.
Condition.
Even if it's written down, everything, if they don't see each other, nothing to think over the whole situation.
Yeah, but the problem is
And they can get out of it.
Let me tell you, you know how they get out of it, the Chassidim?
Huh?
If they sign the Tanaim, they marry the kids off and then get them divorced. That's how they do it. All right, Sukti Gemara, 9b2. 9b2, we got 10 minutes, everybody. Okay, the Rav Gidel Amarav. Rav Gidel Amarav. The financial conditions. Well, this, Daddy, you listening to this?
Yeah.
Before Kiddushin, before your daughters get engaged. You listening to this, Jeff? Mayor? Avi, you taking notes? The father of the bride says to the father of the groom, come out to Noitz. How much are you giving for your son? Kach v'kach, this amount. Lebitcha, how much are you giving for your daughter? Kach v'kach. Under the kids shukanu, and then they get up and they do the Kiddushin. They obligate each party to consent what's binding. These are things that are binding even through speech alone. In other words, now you know where the Tanoim come from. And you guys thought, you see, they were dealing with this back then. Okay? Daddy, even back then, the fathers had the credit card with the ATM machines.
Right.
That's the way it is. It's part of being Jewish life. Get the kids out young and dumb, right? Young and dumb before they get too smart. and we'll foot the bill for a while. That's the way it goes.
Good.
Maya has a question. Not surprising, you know. Yeah,
Even by the Irisi,
yeah.
he comes into this deal here. He doesn't have nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Just he knows that this girl comes in with something.
Yeah.
He doesn't like her. No, he does not like. Does he
Wants the
protect
money.
her that he should have the?
So you know what? That's what to tell you. Rabbeinu Tam, in his day, that was happening. What Meir just said. The guys were marrying the girls. The fathers were giving a big dowry. 6 months later, they divorced the wives. You know what
Hallelujah.
Rabbeinu Tam said? A husband has no right to the dowry. Made a rule. This is Rabbeinu Tam. The power of Rabbeinu Tam. The husband has no right to the dowry for the first 5 years of marriage. Boom. If you're married for less than 5 years, you don't get it. You see? You see? You came from France, and Rabbeinu Tam came from France, and there you go. All right. I know. I better want to be. Yes, yeah, the yard. That's the talk. Not in England. I can make the Kiddushin. Here we go. Okay. All right, but Daddy came from France, so that's it. Awesome. This is it. So you're big. Oh, then we brought you up today. How long do you, by the way, wait between milks and fleischiks? Because you're Dutch. You see? There you go. That's what I said.
I have to wait 6 hours.
Because you're Polish. Ich auch. Ben English.
Wait, just hit.
You see, that's because you're a Dutchman.
Actually, no, you're not Dutch.
All right, let's go.
You are born in Peru.
That's a good point.
So what were you coming to Dutch?
You're not gonna wait 1 minute.
Oh.
I used to wait into the minute. In fact, I waited an hour 60 times more.
Exactly. Right, Jeff? That's right. All right, so we're up to your Gemara now. Ubia.
Yeah.
If you want to get her engaged through cohabitation, you have to be nice. The door is open. Minola. Okay? The door is open. How do you know that you can engage a girl through getting it on? Okay? Cohabitation. Remember, a woman who has cohabited with her husband, that he becomes her husband through cohabitation. Dr. Gemara, we got 5 more minutes. Is it loathsome to you what the Rebbe taught? That she's acquired through cohabitation. I might have thought first he betroths her with money and then cohabitates with her. No, we don't need money over here. Just get into bed together with 2 witnesses standing outside the door. We're good to go. Okay. Yes, you can. That's what we're saying right now. 1 second. We don't do it anymore. And we haven't done it for thousands of years. And we're going to see why not. But let's get to the interesting part. Wait until we get to it. If he hangs out long enough, when does intercourse start? What's the definition of intercourse? We have to get to that too. No. That's coming up. This Gemara is coming up. That Gemara is coming up, and I want to see Jeff's reaction when we get there. If that was required, in other words, if I would have thought that you need to do be'ilo, you need to do sleep together after money is given in order to complete Kiddushin, Avi, just Kiddushin, which is Erison. Nara ha'mayrosa the Omer Rachmano beskila heichem mishpachta. Then have you ever find a case of a betrothed Nara right? A 12-year-old that got engaged in the first step of marriage, Erison, and then she sleeps around with another guy. How do we know that she gets stoned? It's never going to happen. Eat the Kaddish boil. If the Nara's husband betrothed her with money and then slept with her, she's not a basula. She's a bu'ula. She's no longer a virgin. So that her crime is not. She doesn't get stoned. She gets her head chopped, but she don't get stoned, right? And if the man betrothed her through money and did not yet sleep with her, lav klumu. According to you, that's not a Kiddushin. That's only a half a Kiddushin. According to you, you had this idea that you need to give money plus sleep together in order to facilitate a complete first step of marriage. So Zakti Gemara. Aminu Ramana Kamed Rabaya 9b3. Mishkachas lo kegoin shabo oleh oros shaloi kedarka. Where it could be where the case is liable for stoning when her betrothed gave her money for Kiddushin and then slept with her not in the unnatural way, otherwise known as anal sex. Okay? In such a case,
Here, why is the tonight sin that she's not allowed to have?
we're going to get there. We're not there yet.
Till even with the
That's today. Again. No, we're not saying.
Sin, it was not completed till it was not Kiddushin.
No, Kiddushin is Erison. Kiddushin is Erison, and then there's Suez. But no, that's back then. No. Back then, that wasn't the case. Erison was there, and then they waited a full year until they got to the Suez. Doesn't matter. Yeah, no, they used to date. They saw the girl. Right, yeah, that's it. They were probably. Let's not go over it. We got more interesting things here we got to do. Because here's the case, everybody. This Nara Marasa, this engaged 12-year-old, whose husband gave her money and now did this unnatural act, is still a virgin with regard to all the other men in the world. So if she sleeps with another man, in a natural way, she gets stoned. But regarding her husband, she's married to her husband because he didn't boil her. Yeah, that's what we're saying right now. That's it. We're trying to figure out Rabbi Yochanan here. Said that the husband, it's a full Kiddushin because he gave her money and slept with her unnaturally, right? Even though she's still a virgin, but he did sleep with her. So now, for the rest of the world, she's still a virgin. For the husband, he slept with her already. She can take me to yeah, I'm sorry. Because she's engaged to him, and now she's a wife. She's an Ish, albeit only at Erison. Okay, we got to stop here. So let me just get to the stopping position over here. Real as far as another person, someone who's not her husband, her husband, if he sleeps with her, he engages her with money and then does anal sex. He renders her a non-virgin vis-a-vis himself, that he's fully married to her for Erison, not for the Shul, but for Erison. I guess so. The man was. Right. That's it.
Okay, I'm going.
Yeah. I'm getting to Rabbi Yochanan and High Baller. That's where I'm going to pick it up tomorrow. Okay, Mahi. If 10 men slept with this betrothed Nara and she's still a virgin, they all slept with her anally. Kulam beskila, they all get stoning. That's what the Rabbanan say. Rebbe Aymerani Harisha beskila. The first guy that slept with her unnaturally gets skila. The kula bechenik, the rest of the guys get their heads chopped off. Right? They're actually chopped off.
That's the last one.
Right. That's the last. This was the first one. Right. Okay. So Amar Rav Nachman by Yitzchak says, even if you want to say that money and sleeping together are needed to facilitate Kiddushin, Mishkachas like a going to Kiddush Bishtar, We could have a case where the husband betrothed her with a document. This doesn't require sleeping together. Since he's now fully married to her for Kiddushin purposes, for Eretz purposes, he brings her in completely into marriage as well. And therefore, that what he called it, Bu'ulas Baal. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan says, you don't need money, you can sleep with her by straight up. That's only Rabbi Yochanan. I didn't say it's everybody. Okay? There we go. Very good. Good. And we haven't gotten up to yet, because here's the problem. What does it mean? Sleeping. What is Bia? No, that's the next one. No. But the first thing is, what is Bia? You have to enter. You have to touch. Let's go. That's coming up. So,
I'm not going to be studying.
Yeah. What's the idea?
He plays without the
What?
Thursday.
Thursday next year. David, thank you so much for hanging in there. 9:15 tomorrow. You got it. Thank you, David. Yeah, my jacket. Yeah.